Hello and howdy, and in today's video we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be going over a buy list, cards you should craft or cards you should be trying to pull from. So to start things out, let's go ahead and talk about trainers, the backbone of any good deck. And the most important trainer of all is going to be Pokeball. As it stands right now, it is our only Pokemon search in the entire game. So you're going to absolutely need two of these in pretty much every single deck you're playing. Another really core card, and that's featured in pretty much every single list I've seen, is Professor's Research. So if you don't have two of these, make sure that you're trying to craft the second one. It's really easy. You can go through the shop and get it without spending pack points on it. X-Speed and Potion are a little bit more niche and dependent on your deck, but as a rule of thumb, I've been seeing X-Speed and Potion included in almost every single competitive list. As well as Red Card, you probably don't need to unless you're trying to play something really disruptive, but having a Red Card is really good to have in your card pool. Sabrina is another really flexible card and is featured in at least one of in every single competitive deck. So you're going to have to absolutely pull your Sabrina or spend your pack points on it immediately. It is super strong. Gusting is always a powerful effect in the Pokemon TCG. Now, some of the other ones are a little bit more deck specific, like Luke Surge. Luke Surge helps out specifically lightning type decks, and most certainly Pikachu, which is number one right now. So getting at least one Luke Surge for your Pikachu deck is really important. Misty is a rather infamous card in the game right now, and it is the backbone of pretty much any water deck we have seen currently. So if you got any water EXs, you're gonna need Misty. Another bit of a weird card here is the Fossil Trainers. Now, these kind of function like Pokemon, and they do give a point whenever they're knocked out, but you can discard them at any point during the game. So if you don't want to get Sabrina'd, or if it's in the active, you can discard it and then push up something in front for basically no retreat cost. And then there's Giovanni. Giovanni helps out sometimes if you're hitting like 90 and you really need to hit 100 or, some other number. Most importantly, it's going to be for Mewtwo. Mewtwo hits 150, and some more tanky Pokemon have around about like 160 HP. So being able to hit a little past what you're normally able to do is really important for that aggressive type of deck. Next up, we have Pokemon you should be trying to pull or trying to craft. And most importantly right now is going to be Pikachu EX. I have an absolutely wonderful art of this. I've only gotten two Pikachu X of this art, funny enough. And this guy is definitely the best Pokemon in the game right now. Has 120 HP, a little awkward for 2-hit KOs with the potion, and its attack for 2 lightning energy can hit to a maximum of 90 damage or 100 if you play Giovanni that turn. This guy is absolutely incredible and should be one of the Pokemon you're trying to get ready first. And with Pikachu, you're going to need some good partners, and Pikachu has a plethora of great partners it can pair itself with that all combo really well off Luke Surge or Lieutenant Surge. Most importantly is going to be Electrode. He is a stage 1 with 80 HP and does 70 damage for 2 lightning. And the best trait about him is that he has free retreat, making him an excellent attacker and an excellent pivot. A support Pokemon that Pikachu EX will like to play is Magneton. It basically gets to accelerate lightning energy to itself once every turn, and this combos amazingly with Lieutenant Surge, because now you're building up lightning energy for it to push up to the active. And the hardest hitting lightning type Pokemon in the TCG currently is Raichu, which I think is an excellent thematic partner for Pikachu EX. And he only needs 3 lightning energy, and if you're accelerating plenty of energy to the board, you should have no problem powering up Raichu. Moving on to Psychic, we have Mewtwo EX. He is absolutely the best Psychic card we have in the game currently. I would definitely consider him to be the number 2 best Pokemon in the game, right behind Pikachu. And one card you're going to be needing to get for Mewtwo that I don't have currently is going to be Gardevoir. Let's go ahead and pull up Gardevoir. You can get him out of Mewtwo packs. So let's scroll down to Psychic type Pokemon real quick, just to go ahead and show you what Gardevoir actually does. Let's see. She should be around here. There she is. Gardevoir is a stage 2. Glad it's not showing me the whole picture of it, but you can read its ability here. Once during your turn, you may take a psychic energy from the energy zone and attach it to a Pokemon in the active slot. And this is extremely synergistic with Mewtwo EX, because if we go back and take a look at it, it needs to discard 2 psychic energy in order to use its side drive attack. Well, isn't that convenient? If you get 1 energy from the energy zone per turn, and then Gardevoir gets you another to the active, you're basically never feeling the downside to Mewtwo EX and always hitting for 150, so long as you got that Gardevoir up and going. Moving on away from Psychic, it's a little bit one note. We have a good amount of water stuff to talk about. And the best water EX currently is going to be Articuno EX. It's a little underwhelming, but if you get lucky with a Misty, it's one of the most threatening cards in the entire game. It's got 140 HP, not the best range because Mewtwo EX is just going to one-shot you, but it can be a little tricky for some non-EX decks to actually try to get those numbers on you. Pikachu EX is not able to take a one-hit KO on you either, even with the weakness. And the star of the show attack is going to be your Blizzard attack. For 3 water energy, you do 80 damage, and then you spread 10 more damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Effectively hitting for, 110 damage all across the board? That's a really strong attack. And a common EX partner people like to pair with Articuno is going to be Lapras EX. It has, for basically 3 water energy, I don't really know why you would be playing any other types with it. It does 80 damage yet again, but you get to heal 20 damage from this Pokemon. So basically, it's like a potion on an attack, and if they're just not able to burst through you with the potions and the healing, you can really establish a good wall to bide time while you're building up the rest of your water support. And what I would say is the best non-EX water Pokemon is going to be Golduck and Psyduck. Psyduck here is really useful because if you get a Misty on your first turn and you're going first, normally you can't accelerate any water energy or attack, but you can actually attack if you go first. You just need the energy on the Pokemon, and Misty, conveniently enough, allows you to do that. So now you're able to use your Headache attack with Psyduck, which prevents your opponent from using supporter cards before they're even able to play anything from their hand. A really disruptive guy, and he gets even better when he evolves into, not Raichu, into Golduck. Because Golduck, for just 1 more water energy, does 70 damage. It's a pretty good follow-up because you're going to hit for 10, then you're going to follow up with 70, hitting for a total of 80, maybe 90 if you played a Giovanni sometimes in there, maybe 100 if you wanted to play both. But that's probably unlikely to happen, but he's a really good guy with the disruption followed up by a really good hitter. There is one other really good water type EX. Let's go ahead and pull him up. It's going to be Starmie EX. Let's see, I think it's going to be right down here. Here we go. So Starmie EX, much like Golduck, does, well, I guess we can't quite see the card, but we can read what it does. It has 130 HP, so a little lower than our other water EXs, but for just 2 water energy, it does 90 damage, and it has a free retreat cost, making it a great pivot. So if you take a little bit of damage, you can swap back out to one of your other water type Pokemon and keep swinging and denying prizes. Staryu is a little underwhelming. It does have an okay attack for 1 Water Energy doing 20 damage, so that pushes you up to 110, maybe 120. Not the best range. You typically want to be trying to hit for 130 or 150, you know, in there. The 110 is a little awkward. Gets a 2-hit KO on a Gardevoir after the whole shebang. Overall, Starmie EX is really, really good. I can't say if it's the best Water EX right now. I still think that's Articuno and Lapras. They're up there. But it makes a really good partner for those decks if you don't want to play Golduck and Psyduck with it. Right, let's go ahead and move on away from water. And the next type we got to cover is grass. Now, grass doesn't have a whole lot of good support right now. It has one supporter that I didn't even put on the buy list because it is really specific if you're wanting to use Venusaur and Executor, which are kind of maybe B tier, C tier level cards. I think Venusaur EX is really, really powerful when you get it set up. But the hard part is getting it set up. It has really, really high attack costs for not a whole lot of damage. But the best thing about it is that it has the highest HP in the game at a whopping 190. And it gets even bulkier after that, because if you play Erica, you're going to heal 50 of that damage, and with its giant bloom attack for basically 4 grass energy, doing 100 damage, it also heals you for 30. That's boosting you up to 80 HP back, and if you play a potion, that's 100 HP back. So basically, if they're not doing more than 100 damage to you, they are not making any progress for at least 2 turns if you have everything in hand ready to go. So this guy is really, really bulky. There's not much many decks can do to try to get past you once you're set up, but the hard part is buying time to set up. And a good partner for Venusaur EX is going to be Lilligant. For 2 grass energy, it does 50 damage, and you can take an energy zone. You can take a grass energy from your energy zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. Ideally, an Ivysaur or a Bulbasaur, or even if you have the Venusaur EX in play at that point, it really helps speed up getting those energy on there while doing okay damage and having 100 HP, which can be a little hard for stuff to do because we see a lot of 70 hitters, we see a lot of 80 hitters. We don't really see a whole lot of flat 100 hitters outside of Venusaur. So you're just bulky enough to deny a point so you can like X-Speed or retreat out to your Venusaur to keep starting to tank attacks. The next best grass EX we have, and I think the only other grass EX we have, is Executor EX. And I recently made a video covering him, and he's an okay EX. He's pretty bulky for a stage 1, having 30 more HP than even Starmie, and more HP than the legendary birds and Lapras. And to top things off, he has a really, really, really efficient attack. For just 1 grass energy, he does 40 damage, and if you flip heads, this boosts it up to 80. So if you're flipping heads a lot, you're ensuring 2-hit KOs and denying 2-hit KOs with Erica and Potion. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we should have included Erica in the buy list because these grass Pokemon are pretty good for beginners. The best partner I found for Executor was not Lilligant or Pinsir. That card was really bad. We don't want to be relying too much on coin flips. It was actually Parasect. And Parasect actually has really, really good stats for just a regular stage 1 Pokemon. Its attack cost is a little much. For 3 energy, it does 80, but it has 120 HP, which is pretty big. So now even if they're hitting for 110 or just 100, you're tanking it. You're being the guy, and you're hitting for a solid 80, and 80 is not too bad of a number to hit. It's a good way to soften up multiple targets so Executor can come up and tank and clean up the game. Moving away from grass, we have fighting. There's not really a whole lot to talk about fighting, or really for any of the other types. That's mainly just electric, psychic, water, the game right now. But the grass and fighting decks do have some pros to them. The best archetype with fighting right now is got to be Mankey and Primate. Now, Mankey has a really low 50 HP, and if it uses its attack, Reckless Charge, 1 fighting for 30, pretty good. It does 10 damage to itself, putting it at 40, which means it can easily get Revenge KO'd by a Farfetch, a Pokemon we're going to touch on soon. but putting damage on itself isn't too bad so long as they're not able to revenge KO or just gust around us. Primeape is a kind of squishy stage 1. It's about average. 90 is about what you see on them. And for 2 fighting energy, a good follow-up attack from placing the energy on the Mankey last turn, its fight back attack does 40 damage plus 60 more damage if it has any damage on it. How convenient that Mankey does put damage on us. Now, if we're not able to attack with Mankey, the loop can be kind of broken. So it's a little janky, not super consistent, but if you start getting to go, you can really start punching through those Pikachu EXs and even make some headway on some bulkier decks as well, if you're fast and aggressive enough. Very fitting for Primeape. The other good fighting type card we have right now is Marowaki X. I would say objectively, it's just worse than Executor EX, but for 2 fighting energy, you do 80 times 2, depending on the coin flips. You know, it does flip 2 coins, the attack does 80 damage for each head. So you have the potential to hit for 160, or, you know, on average, you're hitting 80 for 2, which isn't too bad. You're, you know, doing a little less than Starmie. It's mostly just that you have the potential to do no damage, and doing no damage is really bad. Other than that, it's just kind of a mediocre card. It's just worse than Starmie in every other way, other than the fact that it hits a good weakness, and it has 10 more HP, but that's still not good. We would have liked to have had 160 like Executor, since it fills a really similar attack role with that. I mean, it's the best fighting type EX we have right now, and it hits a good weakness on Pikachu EX. The last guy we're going to do to round out the Pokemon to buy is a little humble Farfetch. Now, I think you do start out with one of these guys, but it might be a good idea to build 2 if you're just starting out. It's a really simple card. For 1 colorless energy, so it can slap into any deck you need, it does 40 damage. As far as I know, this is the most amount of damage a basic can consistently do for 1 energy. I think Kangaskhan can do 60 if you got 2 flips, but that's a really flippy card. So this guy only has a retreat cost of 1, so an X speed makes it free. It's just a really good softening up tool that I think everyone should definitely have in their inventory in case they just need to round out any kind of deck. Alrighty, and that rounds out the buy list video. If I missed any cards that you think are really important, go ahead and feel free to write them down in the comments. And if you have any other general questions for me, just go ahead and write them down there in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you and answer any questions on why cards are good or why you should be playing them in a specific way. So, I'll see you around next time, and hopefully making more Pokemon Pocket content.